for having killed a man. This old man spent 25 years in prison. Now he's doing it for his daughter. He stomped on an old cadre in his gang, and because he was bullied by others, he shot them dead. This is the 76-year-old, gray-haired but still handsome Jack. Afterwards, he and Mickey dug a hole in the backyard. Before throwing it down, he asked Mickey to remove Jim's biker suit, which was full of bullet holes. The next day, Jerry kept calling Jim from the gang, but he couldn't get through. When no one knew where Jim had gone, Jim's girlfriend walks in with a delivery box. Jerry had his men open it and realized it contained Jim's clothes. The bullet hole in it said it all. It was then that Jerry realized that what Jack had said was true. Then the woman called Anna. She was an informant for the ATF. Now her boyfriend had died at gunpoint because of a gang fight. It was a shock that made the woman not want to work for Anna any longer. But as far as Anna was concerned, until they had evidence of the bald man's crime, all efforts were in vain. So Anna consoles the woman, and they agreed on a time and place to meet. In the afternoon, Anna waited for the woman in a field early. After the meeting, Anna first comforted the woman. Then Anna began to brainwash her. Her boyfriend's death was all because of Jerry's orders. So only if Jerry goes to jail, so that her boyfriend would not die in peace. The woman gradually calmed down after hearing Anna's words, and the woman promised to help her one last time. When she got back, the woman took advantage of the absence of the gang. She sneaked into Jerry's office. Jerry had a notebook. She'd seen it around once. There were a lot of accounts in there. All the woman had to do was find the notebook, and it would provide evidence of Jerry's crimes. Soon she pried open Jerry's safe drawer with a dagger. Sure enough, the notebook was inside. But just as she opened it to examine it, Jerry quietly opened the door and entered the house. At the sight of the kindly Jerry, the woman began to tremble with fear. She had a million ideas of how to explain it, but every one of them ended in death. Jerry didn't get angry at the scared woman. Instead, he said he liked her very much. The woman thought she had a chance to live. She immediately approached her and said she could be Jerry's girlfriend. He could do anything he wanted. But Jerry pulled out a dagger from the side. The woman was scared and asked Jerry, "What are you trying to do? Do you want to kill me?" Jerry laughed and shook his head at the woman. The woman fidgets in fear. Suddenly, Jerry came around behind the woman's back and strangled her. The next day, Anna called the woman. But it was Jerry who answered the phone. "Where's this? You dialed the number for hell, darling. Who did you think?" Good answer. Anna was so scared she couldn't help but shake her body. Anna knew full well that the woman was gone forever. Here in the restaurant, Jack received a call from his daughter. His daughter told him that her husband had been attacked. Although the husband's life was not in danger, he had broken a few bones. His son-in-law had been beaten. As far as Jack was concerned, it was no different from his daughter being bullied. He suspected that because he had stomped on a gang member, that's why his daughter's family had been subjected to revenge. But that was just a guess. Jack didn't have any proof. Jack told his daughter that if you felt in danger, you should move to Tulsa as a family. At that moment, Thomas and Smith went to the train station to pick up Andy, who had arrived. Andy's reason for coming is to get a feel for Jack on the orders of the gang's boss, Peter. Although they had exiled Jack to Tulsa, but if Jack's forces were not under the gang's control, then they had to clean house. Soon Andy was brought to the restaurant. Jack saw him. Jack went up to him and asked him if Peter's son had beaten up his son-in-law in secret. Andy said he didn't know anything about it. He also said that Peter had taught his son a lesson, and that Peter had told everyone to keep their distance from Jack's daughter. Jack was a little relieved to hear this, since the gang hadn't done it. Jack didn't have to give Andy a hard time, so the two of them had a drink. At night in New York, Peter was getting ready for bed. Andy called. He told them both that Jack was doing very well in Tulsa. Not only did Jack have his boys and drivers, he also had his own restaurant and a lucrative marijuana business. Hearing this, Peter's son already had some ideas. But Peter was only concerned about his friendship with Jack. And it wasn't long before Jack's daughter received another phone call from a stranger. The caller was still silent when he answered. This caused Lily to become suddenly anxious. The next day, she went to see her husband in hospital. During the conversation, Lily talked to her husband about moving the family to Tulsa. Although she didn't like her gangster father, but for the safety of the family, she preferred to stay under his wing. But her husband was convinced it was just his bad luck. Once he's healed, things will be back to normal. The next day, Jack went to the stable. He visited the old white horse he had bought. Looking at the white horse was like looking at himself. Jack had a feeling in his heart that he couldn't explain. Just as he was grooming the old white horse himself, the lady of the house came over. The pretty lady realized that she had gone to make coffee. The hostess, for her part, unabashedly expressed her admiration for the older, more mature man in front of her. To be honest, it's not too much to say that a man in a suit like this is a man who doesn't age. After the hostess had asked Jack to dinner, she then smiled with satisfaction. You see, if a man isn't bad, a woman won't love him. That's a saying that's true at any age. Before the appointment, Jack went to see Bobby. He wanted Bobby to work with him on a new project. Jack planned to get some beautiful women and get a new factory to do the casino business. Bobby wasn't very interested when he heard that. He had to be licensed to run a casino. It would cost at least $500,000 to get that license. This was a lot of money for Bobby, who had just been robbed by the FBI. Jack said to Bobby, "If we have a license to open a casino, we have a license to print money." Bobby said, "It's also licensed money laundering." While that sounded like a very good idea, but Bobby said there was another way. He asked Jack if he knew what Bitcoin was. Jack said, "I know a little bit about it, but these are virtual coins, so I'm not interested." Jack asked Bobby, "Do you buy Bitcoins?" Bobby said, "I don't buy Bitcoins, but I'll steal them." Then Bobby opened a website on his computer and showed it to Jack. Jack saw the website and he was shocked. He asked Bobby, "Is this all true?" Bobby said something very interesting to Jack. "Do you think you are the only criminal in Tulsa?" At this time in New York, Peter's son went to church. In his conversation with the priest, he reveals that he has not followed his own wishes in life. Originally, he wanted to be a soldier, but instead, he ended up in the mob with his father. The bottom line is that he still lives in his father's shadow. At night, when he was giving Peter a bath, he told his father that he had lived a life without dignity, no matter how well he did. Peter was always lecturing him in a tone of scolding a stupid child. Peter said to his son impatiently, "I'm really tired of hearing you complain all the time." The son asked Peter, "Do you really think Jack is better than me?" Peter said, "You're talking rubbish. Shut up." The son gets angry and pushes his father, Peter, into the water. A gangster of his generation died at the hands of his own son. The next day, everyone gathered at the house to prepare for Peter's death. And the family's new big brother throws off his wig and appears in a new light. And the first thing he does is deal with Jack. At this moment, Jack is having dinner with the owners of the stable. One is a spirited old gangster, the other is a charming lady owner. And frankly, they look good together. When the dinner is over and Jack returns to the restaurant, Andy told Jack that Peter had died. It was very sad for Jack. After all, he was a brother who had fought for his life with him. But in the midst of his sadness, he also has his own crisis to get through. That's the end of King of the Parsons episode 7. In response to the gang's Jerry's counterattack and the change of ownership, will Jack make it through? See you next week for episode 8.